Yeah, in this lesson we're going to be looking at the modes, and I'll just get right started. The first mode we're going to be looking at is a G major shape with a 3-note per string pattern. So I'll just get started. On the low E string, I'll just do this by fret numbers. We've got 3, 5, 7, and 3, 5, 7, and then 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 5, 7, 8. And you can also repeat that same shape on the high E string. So in total we have okay, now this is the G major shape. Now the way the modes work is taking the major chord and starting it from a different note. So we'll take the exact same shape that we've just learnt from the G to the G. That's the one we just learnt. We're going to take that now from the A to the A. Okay? So it'll sound like this. You obviously know the shape, so. Okay, and that's A Dorian because you're starting from a different note. And because of the distance between each of the intervals is different now, because this would be the first degree, this is the second, so you've got a minor third there instead of having the major third between the G and the B there. Okay, so this is mode theory and it works from every note. So if we were going from B to B, C to C, that would be all different notes. That would be all different modes, I mean. Okay, so I'll just go through the ordering of the modes and what each of the modes on each degree is called. So the first degree is called Ionian, which is major. Second is Dorian. Then we've got Phrygian, Lydian, and then Mixolydian. Aeolian, which is a fancy name for the minor. Locrian, and then back to the G. And then we're back to the G major mode. Okay. One thing you got to remember with modes is that they're very context specific. So just playing, A to A doesn't really constitute as an A Dorian until you play an A major chord over the top, or an A minor chord, because the Dorian is a minor mode. So if you're playing an A minor chord and using the exact same notes from the G major mode, then it'll only become an A Dorian. If you were playing the G major and then play the A Dorian shape over it that you've just learnt, it'll still sound like G major, because they rely on context to make them work, to make them sound like the modes they're supposed to be. So just to avoid any confusion if you're ever playing that and they don't really sound right. Okay, so now I'd like to look at the fact that you won't want to be playing your lead patterns just in one shape. You won't want to, be doing all your mode work in just one little shape. Depends where you are. I mean, you could be up here, but you don't want to be just in one little bit of the neck. So a good thing about that is that we have different shapes for each of the modes. So the Dorian shape is, instead of going from here to here by using the major shape, we'll use the Dorian shape, which I'll show you now very quickly. And that's 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 9, 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 10. Okay, and back down. Okay, now if you're just playing, back to the context thing, if you're just still playing the G major over the top, if you play that shape we just learned, you're still playing G major, because it's still using all the same notes from the G major shape, still all natural apart from the F sharp. But now you've got more freedom to explore the neck. So instead of just playing it within this position here, now you've got, you know, all this to go with. Okay, so now you've got 2 modes to play with. Okay, now each mode has its own shape, so I'll show you that. And one important thing to remember as well is that the last 2 notes of each segment, which 1 string segment, each of the last 2 notes in that is always the first 2 notes in the next mode. So for example, the G, this A and B here is the last 2 notes of this little segment, but it's the first 2 notes of the next segment in Dorian. Okay, and they all link together. Each of them is linked together across the whole neck, so you can play the major scale across the whole neck. So now I'll show you the Phrygian example, which will be starting on the B, and again it's the first 2 notes of the last 2 notes of the Dorian. If it gets confusing, just post some comments on YouTube and I'll answer your questions. So then this next shape is the B Phrygian shape, which is 7, 8, 10, 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 11, 8, 10, 12, 8, 10, 12, and then back down. Okay, now if you wanted a G Phrygian, for example, so we've just learnt the Phrygian shape, and if you wanted a G Phrygian, all you've got to do is just move the shape pan down to the starting note that you want to start on. So if you want a G Phrygian, you just play that same pattern, but starting on G. So, you know, but then the major mode would be different. So, you know, you can do that. Sorry. Okay, and that's a good thing about modes, is that you can change the feel of the music instantly by just learning all these shapes and moving them around. So again, if I was playing the G Phrygian there, it still links in with the Dorian, which is here. Okay. Okay, so that's a brief overview of the modes. If you've got any more questions, just please post them on as a comment on YouTube, and I'll try and get back to you. And in my next lesson, I'm going to look at a little bit more in depth, and I'll go through the rest of the mode shapes with you, so you can play across the entire neck up to the octave above, and you can even go beyond that, the entire neck. And thanks very much. Hope you've learnt a lot, and see you again.